What's up? Hey, Rosebuds. I know it's weird. I'm just popping up on a Saturday, but what's up with you all? I hope that you all have had a great holiday. What's up, Cases and Cam? So you can hear me. Yay! Okay, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for stopping by today. What's up, Pooh Man? It's almost New Year's, y'all. It's almost the new year. Come in, come in. Um, I'm testing out a Saturday show. I'm thinking that this Saturday show will be sometime between like 12 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I wanted to like start getting my head wrapped around being on Saturdays on my own, and I wanted this show to be a bit more structured. So I have like I'm testing out three show ideas, and it is the Rose Report on Mondays, Wilted Roses Wednesdays, and on Saturdays we're going to do Power and Petal Saturdays. Okay, and to explain the difference between what we talk about Monday and what we talk about on Saturday. Saturday will be like current events from pop culture, and Saturday will be more about the patterns that we see within that stuff. Okay. So welcome to Power and Petals. What's up, Steelmatic G Honda? Ty Pro, it's so good to see you. Um, so Saturday space is where we're going to strip away narratives and talk just straight, purely about power, incentives, and consequences. All right. So today I'm just doing a little brief tester as we roll this show out before the new year. It's going to be short, focused, and to the point. So we're each weekend we're going to have three topics, and I would like to have three callers, okay, and or people that want to join the panel and talk about the particular subject that I am closing on, so that we can get feedback and also keep this like open. Okay, so we'll discuss three topics. I'll have three callers, although I won't be testing out the caller piece today, and we will keep the show rolling like that throughout the year. Okay, sorry. I just noticed that I still look like a poodle. Okay, but I'm gonna wrap this up, and it's gonna look more debutante later. I just come from the hair salon. Oh my God, I look like an old lady. Okay, anyway, we're touching on stories that on the surface seem unrelated, but underneath they're connected by the same institutional failure and narrative projection, right? Like we know the left, the right, the in between. We already know that, right? So here we're going to talk about today we're going to talk about the flu and why public messaging around it never stays neutral. We're going to talk about the Somalis fraud in Minnesota and how the bureaucracy shields itself when accountability gets uncomfortable, right? Because it's a lot of things coming out about the fraud there. And then we're going to talk about Kamala Harris floating another presidential run, and what it signals and who it benefits and why this keeps happening. And this particular was on the list from a conversation I had with my mentor this week about leadership and about when it's time to switch out the old guard. Okay. But anyway, this isn't about outrage. It's about pattern recognition. I think we can all appreciate that, because when we can identify patterns, we can better understand how to advocate for ourselves, and we're not being tricked. We're not just going along to get along. We see the pattern and we go the other way, or we decide if we can navigate that way or not. But whatever it is, understanding that is going to be beneficial to us in our personal lives, especially as I roll out the little capstone class that I made from that same conversation with my mentor. We are going to be having a capstone about local civics. basics. Okay. I feel like a lot of us can use a refresher on how the government works for us. Especially as we run into things that could be problematic or what we would consider trouble in our lives, knowing how to navigate government spaces is always beneficial to you or might be beneficial to a loved one, especially if they run into the law in an unfortunate circumstance. Okay. So if you're looking for slogans, this isn't the place. I know that I have the vertical on, which opens up my usual audience to even more eyes and ears. So welcome to everyone that is new to Smell the Roses. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video and consider subscribing. But if you're here to understand how power actually moves, you're in the right room. Okay. So now we're going to, because public health is my thing, we're going to start off with the public health sentiment of the show. And we are going to talk about the flu. I have a video here, as you can see. This video here is from a Dr. Omar Awan. And he is going to talk to us about the flu. Now, I mentioned that the third topic was due to my mentor and the capstone course that I already have loaded into my live show lineup was from my mentor. There, yeah, it's a lot going on here in politics, and that influences the way you hear about public health. And I watch a lot of MABW, and recently this month he has complained a lot when he reviews Kendra Sleaze's shows. He complains a lot about how she coughs a lot. So this topic here is going to be because of MABW. Shout out to you, sir. I am going to explain why Kendra G has this cough that seems not to go away. Well, I'm not going to explain it. Dr. Omar Awan is going to explain it. So here we go.
A new, more severe flu variant is spreading all across the United States. Should we be worried? Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Omar Awan. I'm a physician and senior public health contributor for Forbes. There's a new mutated strain of the H3N2 flu virus known as subclade K that is spreading not only in America, but also in Canada, Japan, and the UK. And I want to break down exactly what influenza is because there's so much confusion about the alphabet soup regarding the common flu. So the common flu is caused by a virus known as influenza. And there's 4 types of influenza: influenza A, influenza B, influenza C, and influenza D. Now, only 2 of them result in seasonal epidemics in humans: influenza A and influenza B. And B is easy because there's only 2 different lineages: the Victoria lineage.
Yes, guys. Yes, I'm going to also drop that disclaimer into the description. But yes, definitely we are using this in the guise of fair use because we all benefit from learning and understanding the flu around us, okay? Yeah. So yeah, all right. So I love that you guys are like picking up on that A, B, C, D, like hepatitis, like the CR19. Viruses have different variants. So you might have heard of like Mpox. And that has a subclade. There is a clade that is specific to Africa, and then there is a clade that is specific to the U.S. So this one is considered K because it is unlike A, B, C, D. It's unlike the ones before it, and it seems to be over here on this side, okay? And I would like to know if you all have seen any marketing about flu shots at if you ride the train or the bus. In your city, have you seen any marketing around going to Walgreens or CVS to get your flu shot? And if you haven't, that is probably because of politics. And that is why it is this topic is a candidate for discussion on Power and Petals, because depending on who your local government is and how they take directive from the executive office, they might or might not be investing in any marketing campaigns around educating you on the flu, which is possibly the reason why we have a new clade of the flu called subclade K. All right. So exactly. Oh, so that's good. They send random texts for flu shots. That's great. That's awesome. You have a great public health office in your state. That is amazing that you are getting text messages. And Derek says, I see it everywhere. That's awesome. Good, 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 good. So I would like for you to tell me, are you in a red state or a blue state? Because that will also factor into, these mentions of text messages and seeing it everywhere. Okay, so this is a little bit of uh, maybe, maybe. Remember, insects are a lot older than reptiles, so possibly, maybe. But yeah, this is what we're going to be discussing on Saturdays over here. Okay, so let this play for y'all so y'all can understand why Kendra G might or might not be coughing so much in her live shows.
And the Yamagata lineage. Now, the A is where it gets really confusing because you have H1N1, H3N2, all these different combinations. And H and N are just terms for surface proteins on the virus. So the H stands for hemagglutinin, and that's a surface protein that allows the virus to bind to the host cell. And there's 18 different types of H. So there can be H1, H2, H3, all the way to H18. There's 11 different types of neuraminidase, or the N protein that occurs on the influenza virus. And this protein is critical for the virus to then spread to other cells. So it can then spread and infect other different cells. And there's 11 different types. So N1, 2, 3, all the way to N11. Okay, so this is how we characterize the alphabet soup for influenza viruses. Now, the H3N2, which is the one that's spreading here in the United States, what are the common symptoms that you should look out for? Well, just like all flu, the most common symptoms are things like fever, chills, headache, runny nose, coughing, muscle aches, body aches. But what's key about the H3N2 is that it causes more severe symptoms. So people may have higher fevers, and that can be problematic because that can result in hospitalizations, dehydration, and even difficulty breathing. So this is why this is so critical. Now, is the H3N2 mutated strain, the subclade K, is that dominant in America? Well, we don't know. What we do know is that the H3N2 is the most dominant strain currently in America, but we don't know if the subclade K is what's causing all of the different cases here in America. And that's because the government hasn't been tracking this for over 44 days from the government shutdown. Now they are tracking it, but it's unclear if they're going to actually track the subclade K variant. So we are kind of flying blind and we don't really know exactly if the subclade K is actually dominant, but we do know that the H3N2 flu variant is the one that's dominant here in America. Another important question is that, well, does the vaccine that we have protect against this subclade K strain that we're seeing? Well, the current flu vaccine is a trivalent vaccine, means it protects against 3 different strains of influenza. So it protects against the influenza A H1N1, the influenza A H3N2, and the influenza B Victoria lineage. So you can see that there is protection against H3N2, but unfortunately, the flu virus or the flu vaccine doesn't cover the subclade K. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't get vaccinated, because some protection is better than no protection, right? And it does protect against H3N2, which the subclade K is part of. But the subclade K has gotten 7 mutations, so it can potentially evade some immunity and protection from the vaccine. But the purpose of the vaccine isn't to prevent infection. It's really to prevent and minimize the risk of hospitalization, severe illness, and ultimately death, because people do die from the flu. So this is why it's critical that people still get vaccinated, even though it's not a perfect fit for subclade K. Well, what can you do to protect yourself? during this flu season? Well, the first thing obviously is to get the vaccine, right?
Mm.
If you don't get the vaccine, you're not necessarily going to be fully protected. The CDC recommends everyone between the ages of 6 months and older to get the vaccine. The other thing is,
so if I see that you all are talking about the intake of processed foods and your health. If you're a person that is not going to the gym, is not eating healthy, is, uh, maybe considered overweight or obese, then you probably need a little bit extra protection than someone that is at the gym every day, building up their immune system to those germs that they're encountering every day. They're working out, they're taking their vitamins, they're much more healthy. They're at a healthy weight. Their mindset is healthy because they're on a regimen every day. They're working out. They're really like, if you are super healthy, then you probably aren't the best candidate for a flu shot. You're probably the type of person that says, I don't get sick often. Then maybe the flu shot is not for you. I'm not the type of person that pushes the flu shot off on people at all. Like, my parents definitely always get every vaccine, every flu shot that comes out. But for the most part, sorry. But yeah, for the most part, thank you, CEO. For the most part, my parents get everything because they're not very active. They're just like out here living their life, and they feel like if they don't have to work out because they're getting the shot. They don't have to work out because, so okay, but if you're not healthy, if you're my family member, I'm telling you to get the flu shot because you do want to build up some kind of like immunity against what's out there if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Because like he said previously, people do perish from this virus. Every year, there are stats that show you how many people have passed on from the influenza virus. So I do think that it is something that you should consider if you haven't, because this is a new thing. Okay. But to each its own. I haven't gotten it, but I eat healthy. I work out. I'm very active. So that is my perspective on it. If I wasn't this type of active person, I would definitely be getting added protections to help me.
Avoid indoor crowded areas because that's when the virus can spread among people in confined areas. And if you do have to go to these areas, consider wearing a mask like an N95 or a KN95 mask that protects your face from inhaling particles through your nose or your mouth. And then finally, wash your hands. Wash your hands for 20 seconds to get all those germs off of your body. And then cover your mouth or nose when you sneeze and cough. All these things will help you stay protected. Thanks, everyone. Hope that demystifies what the flu virus is and this strain that is very severe and that's spreading all across.
So, as you see, I gave this content creator a like. He is a doctor. I felt like he was pretty partial with his synopsis of the flu strand that we all know now as the super flu or subclade K. And I just thought, like, we need to know about this because it's going to affect all of us, right? As we move into, I heard New York is getting snow. There are many places that already have snow. Just think about, people are going to be getting sick and there's a risk around this, we should guard ourselves. So I wanted to talk about that. Let me stop sharing Dr. Awan. I will definitely leave his video in the description of today's video once we depart from each other. The next video that we are going to watch is from A Righteous Perspective. I've seen him on Messy Michonne. So if you all watch her, you might know him from being over on Messy Michonne's channel. So let me share this screen here. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this one is going to be tough, okay? Because it is actually going to show us what is going on in Minnesota. Okay. And I don't think any of us like truly understood because we just ain't living like that, you know what I mean? So we don't know what's going on or what's not going on, but there are a lot of like basically bureaucracies, they don't like fail loudly if we don't make it loud. They fail quietly and then they protect themselves through like litigation and all of that. That's another reason why I wanted to do this show because like um governments can be shady as hell. And then like I know people like say like, oh, like if you don't do wrong, then they won't do wrong to you. No, they will definitely put you in the meat grinder and grind you to a very thin paste if you allow them to. Okay. And so we cannot do that in this case. We cannot let Minnesota happen in Tennessee. We cannot let Minnesota happen in Nevada. We cannot let Minnesota happen in California. We cannot let Minnesota happen in anywhere else. Okay. And it seems like places like New York and Minnesota keep having these like weird instances of like, over promising things that they can't do or just complete oversight failure where they just let fraud happen at a major scale. I don't know what billions we are at with this Minnesota failure, but it's a bureaucracy because like large scale fraud requires, leadership to have weak controls over how you're doling out this money for government programs, right? And then throughout the process, they just kind of like rubber stamp everything. I think that you might have heard in the political news lately on CNN or MSNBC or even Fox, maybe, about how Trump is saying that he will no longer accept Biden's rubber stamp. Hold on one second, guys. Nevin Rose. Nevin. 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 You need to calm down the video game, okay? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. My son is like, he got a new video game, and it's like, this video game is like the worst, okay? Like, okay. Sorry y'all had to hear that. Hopefully, hopefully I wasn't too loud. Sorry, Jay. Sorry. Anyway, so I was talking about the rubber stamp, right? You might have heard that Trump is saying, like, we are no longer going to accept this rubber stamp madness because basically, when your leader is away, we'll just like I've worked for smaller government, and I've worked in law firms where I've used an attorney's rubber stamp to sign their name when they're not there, right? They give me a temporary power of attorney, and then I'm able to execute their name on a document, right? On very specific documents. Donald Trump is saying we cannot trust this rubber stamp business because the rubber stamp was used on everything, things that don't even make sense. Okay. And so that is what I think was happening, in my opinion, in Minnesota, where they were just like the leaders that were in control. They were just living off the horse so well that they were just rubber stamping everything because they were thinking there's no way anybody's going to know because nobody ever finds out because there was never anything in place called Doge. Okay. So because of there was never anything called Doge, there was a reluctance to question, approved groups or contractors. And a righteous perspective is going to break down. We're going to actually see in this video some of the groups or contractors that used fraud against the taxpayers. And the taxpayers are me and you. Okay. So when we see, like, when we keep asking, how did this happen? This is why Power and Petals is going to exist, because we are going to show weekend after weekend that there is a specific pattern that takes place that allows these things to happen, so that we don't ever have to ask, how did this happen? Okay, we need to start talking about how should we talk about this, and how do we run these people out of here who think it's okay to take our tax dollars and abuse us this way. Okay, so this is about systems and safeguards, not ethnicity or community identity. So if this was any group, if these were Bosnians, if these were just take any European country, any Italian, it's Italy, Spain, if this was any group of people in Minnesota doing this, we would feel the same way. Okay, so don't take it that this is about somebody's ethnicity or their community identity, because it's not. All right. And then, yeah, so I'm going to let this go. So here we go. Let me hit play. Here we go.
Go the hell out of our country. Let me just tell you something. We don't want those people. Does that make sense? You know why we don't want them? Because many of them are no good, and they shouldn't be in our country.
What do you mean by those people? Can you
The
clarify?
people from different countries that are not friendly to us, and countries that are out of control themselves. Countries like Somalia that have virtually no government, no military, no police. All they do is go around killing each other. Then they come into our country and tell us how to run our country. We don't want them.
How many countries roughly?
You got to talk up.
She said how many countries?
Is there a list of
Well, I guess we gave you 19, right? There's probably more than that.
Is that what you mean when you mean third world countries, those 19?
No, I don't think they're all third world, but in many cases they are third world. They're not good countries. They're very crime-ridden countries. They're countries that don't do a good job. They're countries that don't register from the standpoint of success. And we, frankly, don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
Hey, the president threw out a tweet the other day, or maybe something on Truth Social, that says, hey, Ilhan Omar has to go. She needs to be thrown out the country immediately. It was a post from Truth Social. You can see it right here. Yeah. How many of you guys feel the exact same way? Seriously. How many?
I mean, I do kind of feel like if wherever you are in the world, you should be doing your fair share of contributing. You should not just be there living high off the horse. And then some of the videos that we've been seeing of people that do get our tax dollars are kind of like laughing and spitting in our faces, like, you work for us and you are the reason why I'm able to freeload. Like, that's not cool. And as we get more into this video, he's going to actually show you people that are investigating the fraud that's out there. And it's going to shock you. It's going to shock you. The man is literally going up to daycares asking if he could get an application so that his son can go to the daycare, and they're cursing him out like, how dare you try to send your kid to our daycare? And the daycare is supposed to have 80 kids, but the cameras set up all around the establishment, and the business owners around them say they never see children there. It's so bad. It's so, like, the audacity, okay?
Shout out to Commander Greg Bovino, who I think he went somewhat viral the other day. Yeah, he wished, Ilhan a Merry Christmas. I don't know if they celebrate Christmas. I don't think they do. But he says here in this tweet that came out, Merry Christmas, Minnesota. You are doing better each day with massive deportations of illegal aliens. Ilhan, more to come. Merry Christmas, and God bless you on Christ's birthday. Merry Christmas. And may American exceptionalism continue. Yo, ultimate troll move. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see this, but ultimate troll move. I don't have a problem with it. And the reason I don't have a problem with it is we have entirely too many people over here on the government dole, basically robbing, pillaging, and taking away from American citizens who, let's just say it, should be looked out for before we even think about looking out for anybody else. Let's just keep it a buck. Hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel.
The illegals aren't even the biggest.
Listen, G Honda, we already know that there had to be some trickery going on, because you can't change government laws without Congress. And they moved so fast before Congress could vote or change anything by doing it the right way. They would still be tied up in red tape had they had gone through Congress. Like, they can't vote on a budget. They wouldn't have been able to vote on whether or not Elion was going to be able to use whatever systems he needed to use to get down to the bottom of it. So we already know that in government. We already know that there had to be some kind of like going on, because there's so many like steps you have to take, right? But these people don't really know the steps because they work in private sector. And so whenever they want to make a change, they just make a change. Bezos ain't going to Congress to ask him if you can make a change. But when you work for, these alphabet agencies, they're protected by the federal government and the Congress and the House of Representatives and everybody else. They have to weigh in on how you motivate or make those changes happen, because there are laws in place that protect them. That's why when he fired certain people, they were given their jobs back, because you cannot do certain things. So we already knew that there were things that were going to leak. We were just worried about, or we already knew that there were maybe some weird things going on in the background to get this information. What we were worried about is that, we didn't want the recipe of the Coca-Cola ingredients to leak. Those were the things that we were worried about. I think a lot of people misunderstood government workers' concerns. Like, of course, we want to protect people from, the information that could hurt them or hurt someone else. But we're all for getting down to the brass tacks of things, because there are things that we see, that we question, that we are told that are just above board and normal. But there are things that we question. So we were also happy to see that there were things that just, were inappropriate, and we were happy that somebody else was acknowledging that, yes, this is inappropriate. So we always knew also that they weren't going to last long with each other. The Doge and Trump best friendship wasn't going to last long. So, but I don't think that we can exactly believe everything that Mr. Musk says, because he has motivations, and just because he doesn't get his way doesn't mean that you go out and spill the beans or tell lies, or I think at this point, if you come out and say anything after you do something so salacious, you're just a manipulator, and you are just looking for sympathy for whatever reason. We should not give it to him. Okay. I would not want to bark up the Trump tree. I don't think that's a good idea. You should ask Fannie Willis, ask her how she's sleeping at night. I'm sure it's not good.
Problem, it's the organizations and the people that are trying to obstruct ICE's operations that are the biggest problem.
Okay. All right, y'all check this part out. Listen to what A Righteous Perspective says, because I wholeheartedly agree with him. You see this lady in the street with the whistle? Pay attention to this.
These are the activists right here that are aiding and abetting illegal aliens that are working with NGOs in America, many of the times the same NGOs that invited the invasion into our country.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what an NGO is, it's a national government organization. Okay, so what that means is they use our tax dollars to do things for supposedly our communities. Okay, so you want a daycare, you want to put a daycare in a community, you would go to an NGO to get some money, some government money that's supposed to have some strings attached that certify that you are actually doing what you say you are doing for that community. And these people here are helping the people that are committing fraud against us.
Blowing whistles out here to get attention and then putting it out on social media where ICE is in the community. These are the enemies within, right here. Illegals are bad, they need to be deported, but these organizations and individuals that are aiding and abetting, they're worse.
Is this a form of treason? Those people that are out there, getting in the middle, getting in the way, of ICE doing their job, is that considered treasonous behavior?
So what illegals do you want to keep in your community? Are rapists okay? Are murderers okay? Are terrorists okay?
Okay, thank you. Right. Non-government. Okay, great. Thank you for correcting me. I have a list of so many acronyms to learn here. But whether or not there are non-government, they're using government dollars to do their government shady business. But y'all keep it up on this vertical. Keep it up on this vertical, okay? But thank you for correcting me. I can't possibly remember all of them. And I'm totally not above being corrected or being wrong, okay? But do they get government funds? Yes, they do. And does that come from our tax dollars? Yes, it does. And so that's why we're talking about it on Saturday. I guess that's why you're here too, because you're interested in hearing about what we have to say about it.
What a lady! Let's go, guys.
You move. Go back to wherever you're from.
Let's roll, fellas. Let's roll.
Get that camera out of here.
Okay.
What illegals are okay? Rapists, murderers,
Fuck off.
terrorists.
You're a rapist.
You're okay with all of them? I'm not ICE, so I'm just asking you a question.
Oh, you're real America's voice?
Yeah.
Let me
Fuck
add.
you.
And there you go. Any illegals, you're okay with keeping them all? Rapists,
No
murderers.
human being is illegal.
Some of it came into our country illegally, so all of them you're okay with. Why are you blowing your whistle, sir?
Because you're a fascist pig.
This is what happens when you get a mayor and a police chief and a governor who want to protect illegals and activists over American citizens. They encourage this kind of behavior. Leftist activists coming out obstructing ICE.
Get the fuck out of here! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck ICE! Fuck ICE! Fuck Donald Trump! Don't show them anything!
Oh, we got the whistle.
Yeah, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. Shout out to Ben from Real America's Voices doing his thing. Shout out to him. But these people are crazy. Are these treasonous individuals? Is this behavior considered treasonous? I want to hear from you guys. Let's keep going.
He assaulted the police officer, even attempted to choke him and steal his weapon. Now, he was picked up, he was arrested, but then released before ICE could file a detainer. So yesterday, they had to put together a big special response team and go into the north side of Minneapolis to get him.
All of this is unnecessary. Seriously. If the people, in these positions of authority out there in Minnesota, especially in law enforcement, especially the governor, just sign it and say, hey, man, the people that commit crimes, none of this would be going on if, the police department, if law enforcement out there, corrections officers or facilities, if they actually just said, hey, man, these are illegal criminals, they've committed crimes, we're going to just hand these people right over to ICE, a lot of this wouldn't be going on. They want this. Democrats want this. They want ICE out here in the streets so they can have this type of footage. They want it.
Thank you for your contribution today, Brandon. And you see, I got you your wrench. Thank you for helping me out today. He says, I can't wait to see the Epstein files. Me neither, but I don't think that we'll get much. what we should hope for is that, people are sleepy behind the desk when it comes to the redactions. Because if we're still doing it line by humans, maybe somebody will get sleepy and they'll let some line items get out there that'll help us go further down the rabbit hole. But if it's AI doing the redactions, oh God, we might not get what we need. What's up, Chelsea? It's good to see you. Hey. Yeah, Chelsea says we will never know the full story of anything. No, yeah. But, when we go over like how he passed away, I mean, how unbelievable is that? Maybe that's something we can do like members only, where we talk about how the guards found him allegedly and all of that. But I agree, it is definitely the most salacious thing. It's affected governments in Britain. I mean, that guy, Prince George, or whatever his name, Prince Andrew, before anyone jumps on me again and calls me a moron. Didn't Prince Andrew get stripped of all of his royal accommodations because of what happened in the Epstein allegations case or whatever? But yeah, here we go.
Want the conflict.
There was no sanctuary policies in a city like Minneapolis and St. Paul, we'd be able to get them at the jail.
Yeah.
But because they have those policies, we have to go look for them at their house. And when we go to their house, we're going to arrest anybody that's illegal in that house.
And that's what they did. 2 more guys ICE says are in the U.S. illegally were found in that house. They were swept up in the raid. People in the neighborhood started waking up and blowing whistles. That drew a small crowd of protesters. And one of the protesters put her hands on the ICE agent, a little bit of a shove, if you will, trying to get through the perimeter. That was enough for her to be zip-tied and taken into federal custody. All of it instead of handing this individual over in the jail.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy what's going on. And to be honest with you, if you are an illegal immigrant out there, you would almost prefer that be the case, because if one of your friends get locked up, they let them go. They find out where this individual live. You're at the house. Now, all of y'all are gone. This is crazy. These people aren't thinking this thing through.
What's going on?
I'm a place to be in this country, sir. I have an immigration status.
Is this for an immigration thing?
Yeah, I have an immigration status. No, you don't, sir.
Yeah, it's illegal immigrant. That's his status.
I do, sir.
We wouldn't be talking to you right now.
I do, sir.
Okay, sir. Well, you know what? We're going to have to.
I do. No, he said he asked me if I...
All right, ma'am. I'm going to have to...
No, I'll stay back, though. I do want to make sure he's safe,
All good. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Pooh Man. I don't know if y'all really want them or not, but my A1s from day one, I just feel like if you don't want it, if you don't want to like really work to, help me or do anything, I completely understand, but you just are always so supportive and you've taught me so much, and I'm getting better, guys. Like, I used to do this just on StreamYard without me watching the YouTube in the background. But I'm getting a little bit more confident now that I've been working with Ali and Fatty too. They've been teaching me a lot also, with all of the things that they do throughout the show. So I hope I'm getting better, and I appreciate all of you all's help in helping me do this, because the vertical is extremely intimidating, as you can see. But no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. So let me let this play.
Yeah, they ain't in the hood with those cameras. They ain't in the neighborhoods, where the bullets are flying around with those cameras up. But you'll watch the police, you'll watch these ICE agents do their job, huh? These people are ridiculous, man. And it's politicians like this next guy that I'm about to show you. They're the reason that this entire situation is being exacerbated. It's politicians like him and so many others on the national level within the Democrat Party that are actually exacerbating this issue.
Your mayor stands with you. Your governor stands with you. Your legislators stand with you. Your mayor-elect stands with you. We stand with you in building a community that works for all of us. We stand with you in saying that our neighborhoods deserve to be safe and peaceful. And so when someone breaks our content, our social contract, we're gonna investigate. We're gonna come find you. We're gonna arrest you for actions that you did. And that our police officers, our local law enforcement will never, ever, ever criminalize someone because of their identity.
No one's being criminalized because of their identity. They're being criminalized because they came across our southern border illegally, or they came over here legally but overstayed whatever temporary visa they may have came over here on. That has nothing to do with the identity of an individual. These people,
and Americans do it too. Like, you know, I've had a friend that got in trouble living in Switzerland because her work visa expired, but her job was still, you know, going, you know, and she ended up getting in trouble. She had to come back home and take like a leave of absence for a few weeks as she got her visa straightened out here in the States. And then she went right back. You know, so we do it too. We're not the only ones that, we're not saying that it's only people doing it to us. We know about that things can happen. We understand that, but it's when you are a repeat offender and you never go to get your paperwork ironed out. Like that's the thing, because it's like, what are you avoiding? And it feels like you're avoiding accountability. You know, like I was in a really bad car accident a few years ago, right? I still have PTSD from this car accident that I cannot remember. But thankfully, due to video and other surveillances from local businesses in downtown Atlanta, shout out to y'all, you know, the man who was a tether was held accountable, you know, but that took a lot of work and a lot of investigation and a lot of plight in my life. I was very depressed about this, you know, but it's like, if you're not keeping your paperwork ironed out, is it so that you can avoid things like getting in trouble for car accidents? And if they're avoiding trouble for car accidents, what other troubles could they be avoiding, you know? That you would hurt somebody so bad in a car accident that she wraps her car around a tree and you try to escape responsibility from that. And then you're not even all up to par like you're supposed to be. That's weird. That's not cool. I should be able to get in touch with your insurance. I should be able to know who you are after I find out the license plate information, you know? So that is why we should be concerned about things like Minnesota. I live in Georgia, and it happened to me in Georgia. I'm pretty sure it could happen to somebody else in another state. I'm pretty sure it has happened.
play word games, man.
And by the way, when Mayor Fry says they're arresting people based on how they look, he's not making that up. He says that because they have said they're arresting people because of the way that they look.
That's one. There's a multitude of things that has to happen, that has to showcase itself before they can actually just arrest a person. They're not just looking at people that are of, certain, melanin and things of that nature and saying, you know what, arrest that guy. There's a couple things. And they know this. They're just being disingenuous and lying. This is crazy.
Chelsea, that happened to me. And, I didn't die. And I'm so sorry to hear about that teenage boy. But yeah, because they didn't have anybody to blame it on, it was like on me, and that is like so scary because I didn't know what happened. And you sound like a freaking idiot when you say that, So, oh my God, thanks for sharing that. I hate to hear that, but that's exactly why we need everybody to be documented and legally here so that we can hold people accountable when accidents happen, whether you did it rightfully or wrongfully or willingly or you didn't know. It doesn't matter. If we have to be held accountable, so do you. It's unfair. Thank you, Brandon, for your contribution. He says, Tethers know our system loopholes better than we do. Unfortunately, Brandon, you're right. You're right. I grew up overseas. I grew up all over Europe. Anytime that I made friends with people that were Turkish or people that were French or people that were from Sierra Leone, they always knew, they would ask me, the one thing that they would always want to know is if you're from New York, because I don't know what it is about Europeans or people from other countries. They think America is like one big New York, or that New York is the capital of America. I kind of think that that is their thought process, because no matter if I'm in Spain, France, or Germany, that it's always the same synopsis. Like, are you from New York? It's like, no. I'm from Georgia. The next day, I'd go outside to play with them, and the Turkish boys are telling me everything about Georgia, from the composite of the soil to the seasons that we have and the climate. They could tell me so many things. Our state flag, our state bird, our state fruit. Where these fruits can be found in other places of the world. I mean, they knew so many things about Georgia that I had never even thought to look up. So yes, I do believe that they are so enthralled in our culture that they do take better time to understand system loopholes, which is so unfortunate. But you know what else, Brandon? These are loopholes that FBAs could never get away with. Like, there are a couple of FBA women that we will cover in government that has committed fraud, but it is not at this tune. It is not at the $1 billion mark. It is very small. But as you can see, they didn't even allow her to get there. I think it was like 6 million. And then we have Tiffany Henyard, from the mayor, the Queen Diva mayor, like, we going to be talking about her next year because they're going to be holding her to task. They do not allow us to do crazy things like this. And we don't even try. We do not even try for the most part. The majority of us are in government doing what we're supposed to do. We're crossing our T's, we're dotting our I's, we're above board. So, okay. Thank you, Pooh Man. I will look at them because I will want to keep talking about this. So I'll make sure to put them in next Saturday's lineup. Thank you. Yes, the former mayor of, yeah. Thank you, Rakai Media. The former mayor of the village of Dalton, Illinois. Exactly. Okay. Ratchet City. Another one. Okay, here we go.
Up to. Why are they engaged in all this? What is their objective here? It's the Somalification of America. In other words, when you see the state of Somalia, that's what they want for America at the end of the day, because it's easier to rule over an empire of ashes than it is for the Democratic Party to rule over a functioning, Western, high-trust society with a strong middle class. Look how powerful the Democrat Party became in Minnesota once they flooded it with 100,000 Somalians.
Facts. And it's not just Minneapolis. There's a multitude of places like this.
The elections were decided, right, by clan rivalries and ethnic feuds. Once that happened, the Democrat Party became permanently powerful in Minnesota. They became permanently powerful in the Twin Cities. That's their model for America, to make the whole country into a version of Somalia. And everything they do gets down to that. So when you ask me what I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving, I praise God every day that Donald Trump is our president. And we've gone from 30% inflation, 20 million illegals, unlimited refugees.
Yeah. Things got to change. But I need you guys to see what's going on in the school systems up in Minnesota.
Okay, this is a trigger warning. If you have children, Imagine if this is what they had to learn in school. But just please be warned that this is a trigger warning here. Shout out to you, Repink. Thank you for your donation today. She says, support Smell the Roses. FBA wives for the win. God bless Raquel. Thank you, Repink. I love you. I appreciate you so much. And also to CEO in the Cash App. He says, you look great. Fix your Cash App name. He's always editing me in real time. I appreciate that so much because I do need that. That was wrong. I was like rushing to get to you all. But I want to start utilizing my tickers and telling y'all to subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're here and you're watching and you like my commentary so far, click that subscribe button or like the video, okay? But yeah, thank you so much, Repink. I appreciate you. And you too, CEO. Thank you for keeping me tight and right. Okay, here we go.
See this. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but this is wild.
In this week's episode of Coming to a Classroom Near You, we look at the new requirement to teach ethnic studies in all K-12 schools in Minnesota, which
Ethnic studies. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
must be implemented in 2026. Ethnic studies includes 3 distinct standards: identity, resistance, and ways of knowing and methodologies. The Center for Race, Indigeneity, Disability, Gender, and Sexuality Studies at the University of Minnesota, or RIDGES, is converting these new ethnic studies standards into free lesson plans for school districts. RIDGES' self-declared mission is to challenge systems of power and inequality and imagine social transformation.
This is Marxism 101, folks. This is right out the Marxist playbook.
Let's take a look at one of these taxpayer-funded lesson plans from the U of M. This first one is for 6th graders, 12-year-olds,
Yes.
and fulfills the Ethnic Studies Resistance Standard, which instructs students to organize and describe how individuals and communities have fought for freedom and liberation against systemic and coordinated exercises of power. It's called Protest Art and the Movement for Black Lives. Designed to take place over 3 days, the lesson focuses on the movement for Black lives and the role of protest art in mediating power in the city. Students will watch a video about George Floyd Square produced by Unicorn Riot, a nonprofit left-wing media collective that films Antifa and Black Lives Matter rallies across the country. Students will also learn...
What does this have to do with learning to read,
I'm horrified.
learning mathematics, and doing those?
I'm horrified. Yeah, you're right, Rakai. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good. I'm just like horrified that they're learning from Black Lives Matter anything like that. We know all of the seedy things that we know about Black Lives Matter, and we want to pass that on to a group of individuals to teach our children what woke and all of that is supposed to mean. This is weird. Okay, I can't imagine that parents in Minnesota are going to allow this. Okay, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Doing those subjects on grade level. What does that have to do with anything?
And how local artists responded to the death of George Floyd during the 2020 riots through mural art. Students will create their own protest art for a cause of their choice. They will even research where in the city the art could go. One of the suggestions for protest art from the U of M is defunding the police. Next, they will work through the Black Lives Matter Principles Activity Book, which features all 13 Black Lives Matter principles and definitions.
Y'all saw that on there? Queer affirming, empathy, loving engagement, Black women, building a Black women affirming space free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness. Do y'all see that? That's feminism right there. Loving engagement. So first of all, they couldn't even put this through the AI chat bot, Chat GPT spell check. Building a Black women affirming space. it's Black woman affirming space, okay? And then embodying and practicing justice, liberation, and peace in our engagements with one another. So that's basically keep you docile, keep you loving and sweet to your enemy, right? Empathy, practicing empathy by engaging comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. If this is for children, I don't even think teachers would understand the words being used. Comrades, contexts. Like they're deliberately trying to be obscure about what they're trying to teach. Okay, transgender affirming, embracing and making space for trans brothers and sisters to participate and lead while being self-reflective and doing the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift Black trans folk. Like, are they serious? Like, this is so wild. This is wild. This is wild. This is what they are wanting to teachers to teach the students in Minnesota.
A known Marxist organization.
The principles reflect the
Look. Black families here at the bottom, making our spaces family friendly and enable parents to, I can't really see, blank with their children and dismantle patriarchal practices. Are they crazy? So allegedly, I don't know, I think I snapped. Is this a group of feminists putting together what this DEI program for children is supposed to be in Minnesota? Who is putting their money behind this kind of foolishness? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, Ree. Order 66. Order 66. Thank you so much for your contribution, Rakai. I'm so sorry. He says, damn it. I'm triggered now. They are running through the liberal left playbook to gear up for the 2028 election. Be aware. Exactly. That's why I'm trying to like get ahead of this and kind of like explain how government works so that we can start moving collectively as one. You know, whether you're in Minnesota or you're in Georgia, these kinds of tactics, we should not allow this. As soon as we see something like this, we should get it off the books. No and gone. No and gone. Don't even try to bring anything like this to us as a people because we're not voting for it. But I'm sorry for triggering you, Rakai, but this is what Saturdays is going to be about. It's going to be about these wild, wonky things that are going out here in little states, siloed. All it takes is one state like Minnesota to pass this kind of buffoonery, and then another state is going to pick it up, and then another state is going to pick it up, and we just have to like bulldoze it. We have to say no. We have to get it out of here as soon as we see it. Like we don't need an extra vote. We don't need extra time because we're not giving this any time. This is a no. This is inappropriate. And then what grade level is this starting at? Because elementary school, out the rip, out of control. If you think you're going to be teaching my K through 6th grader this kind of stuff, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Thank you, Divine. Thank you so much for your contribution. Divine says, I thought the churches were bad in terms of influencing people's political views, but the education system is forcing kids to accept any and anything. Yes. Yes. You see what right here, the words are right here, literally in black and white. Out of control, Divine. And the churches are no better. They're doing the same thing. It's like they take the playbook from the Bible or the education system to further indoctrinate. It's so weird. It's so weird that people would allow this. I just, yeah, I triggered myself when I watched this earlier, and I watched it at like 4:00 in the morning.
Organization's thoughts on families, disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure.
Do y'all see this? Do y'all see this? Black villages, Black women, loving engagement, empathy, queer affirming, transgender affirming, unapologetically Black. How is this? What is this? What is going on? This is being implemented in the Minnesota school district curriculum.
And transgender affirmation to dismantle cisgender privilege. Again, this will be coming to all Minnesota public schools beginning in 2026. Wow. When ethnic studies was presented to the Minnesota legislature in 2023, it was portrayed as the study of different cultures, students seeing themselves in the curriculum and learning honest history. But like so many other familiar terms, Minnesota's version of ethnic studies has been hijacked to apply a liberated approach to understanding our world. Minnesota students deserve a robust education that includes learning hard historical truths and frank discussions on where this country has fallen short, not one that is confined to a narrow, politicized, and ideological worldview.
She is absolutely right. Oh my goodness.
Recently, California rejected a statewide ethnic studies mandate because it was too divisive. How will Minnesota respond? To see more
Hey, people in the state, I don't know how many of my folks, that watch the channel are from Minnesota or live in Minnesota, but if you guys are not aware of this, and especially if you have children that are in school, oh my goodness. One, get your kids out of public school. They got to go. This is ridiculous. They're not in the business of educating your children. And honestly, I don't think they've been in the business of educating the children in a very long time. At this point, it's simply indoctrination. And what this right here just showcased, this is the Marxist playbook right there. Now, what you guys got to understand is that when it comes to Marxism refrains life as oppressor and oppressed. Look at what they were teaching them.
Thanks for telling me that, Chelsea. I didn't know Uncle Rick is in Minnesota. Okay. Wow. I'll be sure to mention this.
There. It's group guilt instead of a personal accountability, and it's victimhood as an identity. All of these things they're all antithetical to the values built here in America or
Stop it, Brandon. You mean that Maxwell is Ghislaine Maxwell's father? No. No. Are you serious? I had no idea. Ghislaine Maxwell's father prints all of our school books. Let that sink in. I remember seeing this as a child on all my books. Yes. What? That is a rabbit hole. Oh my God. I got to get down to the bottom of that. Thank you for saying that to me, Brandon. Oh my goodness.
American principles. We're looking at individual agency and upward mobility.
Chelsea, we all did. And now look, his daughter is sitting in jail for what she's sitting in jail for. That's mad crazy. That's wow. No, I don't mean it. When I say I need to go down the rabbit hole, I'm not trying to fact check you, but I kind of it's just mind blowing. Wow. Vicky is Epstein was, okay. Oh, you guys, we're going to have to do a EP. I'm going to say EP deep dive. Okay. That's going to be fun. I'll set that up for next month. Maybe we'll do that the last Saturday. We'll wait for some more things to come out and then we'll do it. Okay. This is the rabbit hole I needed. Okay. Thank you for distracting me with something salacious, y'all. Thank you, Rakai Media. Rakai says, Christian churches are keeping poor people spiritually poor by not reading and teaching directly from their Bible and running the pockets of their congregation by calling it seed money. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yes, grew up going to New Birth, grew up not too far from Creflo Dollar's church. May my Aunt Sandra rest in peace. He also had a Catholic school out there, Creflo Dollar. So yeah, they do. They just keep them in that pattern, that cycle that keeps them ignorant and foolish and keep making the same decisions. That's why Saturday I want to talk about us, the power that we hold as the people. It's on us to educate ourselves to make the best decision for ourselves, for our families, for our community. Like, now that we know this going on with Ghislaine Maxwell, that she's in jail, and we're going to be touting that her father is printing the textbooks, is that going to be okay? We should say no. We need a new manufacturer printing up our books for our students. We need to separate ourselves from this kind of foolery. Thank you, Rakai. I appreciate you and everybody that's donated. And any one of you who've already hit the like button and subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. I'm going to let this play so we can get on to the last video, which is from Professor Black Truth, my favorite.
And personal responsibility. Not these people. Not these people. They're indoctrinating with the children with this victim mindset. It's crazy. It's crazy. Marxism thinking, hey, failure is always someone else's fault. Success is always suspicious. And dependency is what they're preaching. That's what they want. They want you to be dependent upon the system. I cannot believe that they're taking anything from Black Lives Matter and implementing it into the public education system. This is outrageous.
We are no longer a Christian nation. We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation. The United States has been enriched by Muslim Americans. Since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story.
But I want to say something here. The only thing that is truly served as an anchor of the United States of America is that we have been, and by the grace of God, we always will be a Christian nation.
I'm going to pause it right there so I can read Rakai's donation. He says, not only that, these Christian churches do not invest financially in the communities where they are located. I wholeheartedly agree. Or if they do invest in the community, it's only to make their churches bigger. It's not to do anything for the community around them. They're not donating to the schools as much as they should be, or the daycares in their community that look dilapidated. If I was a church and my congregation had to drive by a raggedy daycare, the first thing on my to-do list is to get that daycare to be up to par on the outside and the inside, as well as my churches. Like, it takes them nothing to do things like that, yet they don't do it. And then we go and we give them all of our good seed money, for blessings and grace from God. And that is just weird. That is just weird that we do that. And we know that they're not contributing to the community around us. There's only so much we can do ourselves. I pick up litter. I pick up my dog's poo. I make sure my son doesn't litter. We're not people that litter. I do try to participate in any kind of community events, whether that's like animals or food or, so giving back time for volunteering with children. Like, there are things that we can all individually do, but the churches are the one getting the money. We can do the things, but they could at least do the monetary stuff, that not all of us are able to do because we're mostly giving our money to them. So I agree with you, Rakai. Thank you.
I'm not saying you have to be a Christian to be an American. I'm saying something simpler and truer. Christianity is America's creed. The shared moral language from the Revolution to the Civil War and beyond. Across that history, our country's major debates have always centered on how we could best as a people please God. That creed Think about it. That creed motivated our understanding of natural law and rights, our sense of duty to one's neighbor, the conviction that the strong must protect the weak, and the belief in individual conscience. Even our famously American idea of religious liberty is a Christian concept because we're all creatures of.
You can see it come full circle now. We all get an idea of where this comes from. This trajectory that we are on can be traced right back to the first Obama-Biden administration. They are
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right there because I know that was a lot, and you know, I don't want to say that that is exactly where that comes from because I think we've always talked about, you know, there's always been some kind of contentiousness with Muslims, and I don't really know the history of this, so I didn't want to agree with him here, but I did want to kind of stick a pin in it because this is something that we are going to revisit in later episodes as we get, you know, more down and dirty into these topics. So this video here is from a righteous perspective. I'm going to list all of the videos that we reviewed today in the description box of this video of my live stream so that you can come back to it once I shut down the broadcast. You guys can definitely go back, give the content creator a like, subscribe if you found their content interesting. I do like a righteous perspective. He has me think and consider different points of view that I might not have considered. It's kind of like listening to one of my mentors talk to me about politics because, you know, I don't know what there is to know all the time. And I don't think that I always take into consideration all points of view. So it's nice to hear a different perspective from what I might normally deduce on my own, okay, so to speak. You might not agree with everything, and that's cool. I don't agree with everything either, but it doesn't hurt to hear things that stretch your mind so that you can play with concepts, frameworks, and ideas, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. But I am going to pop this back up here so I can get to it quickly and drop the link in the description. I'm going to pull this down and make this big. Oops, not yet. Sorry. I lost you guys. Let me get back. All right, here we go. There you are. Okay, so let me go back here and sorry, I'm going to bring up this last video. And this one is from Professor Black Truth on Kamala Harris. Okay. When you guys see this, you're going to be like, what? Like, oops. Sorry, I'm not ready yet. Okay. So let me come back to you and then share the screen again. Sorry. It takes me a minute, guys. I'm not so fast as I should be. All right, so we are going to watch Professor Black Truth. Oh, God. Okay. Okay, so this one is the one I want. Share. Okay, good. I got the right one. Okay, because I have two open and I can't find the other one. Okay. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so this video here comes from Professor Black Truth, and we are going to get into Kamala. Okay, she's going to be running for president again, and I think that you guys, well, they're touting that she could potentially run for president again, and apparently, us not picking her the last time hasn't put a bad enough taste in her mouth to not run again. Basically, I don't even think that, you know, I think it's kind of like out of her control, because I think that once so many people put that much money behind you, they kind of want what they want, right? They're like, this is what we were going to pay you to do the last time. If we get you into the presidency and you win, this is what we're going to need you to do. So they're trying to get their horse in the race. And it seems like, just because losing, it doesn't disqualify you. It basically rebrands you. And so um, it just is like more of the patterns that we keep seeing, right? It's this freaking closed loop of the same people over and over and over again in government. It's like, why don't you old people bow out gracefully? There's no way that we're going to be able to change things if we keep voting for and nominating the same broken records over and over and again. Okay. It doesn't, like, her failure doesn't necessarily remove her access. It preserves it for whatever way. And I don't understand that. Once we say we're done with you, it should be done. Nix, fix und fetish. Like, it's over, right? That's something we say in Germany. Fix und fetish, like over and done. We wipe our hands. We're done with you, but no, her donors are loyal, and they want to make a certain party structure. So she's going to have continued relevance within these donor networks, which is really sick and disturbing. It's like, why don't you guys go out there and find somebody else that can get the job done and do a better job for the people? But it's not about that. It's about getting what they can get out of it, So politics just basically becomes about turn taking, and it's not about their performance at all. So that is another reason why we're going to be having these civics capstone classes, because we need to learn that people like her should never get a running start, because once we let them get a running start, it's really hard to get rid of them, right? So basically, to my mentor out there that watches and pops in sometimes, who benefits when leadership will not rotate out? Who benefits? Is it the children, or is it going to be our children's children? But you tell me, who benefits when leadership just won't take the hint and get the hell on? Okay. We're going to let Professor Black Truth tell us about Kamala Harris, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay, here we go.
Professor, and this is the moment of truth. And now a poetry reading worthy of Christmas Day. 'Twas the night before the midterms, and all through the Beltway was heard seething from a loser who we thought went away, a tool of the system who said she couldn't be bought, when in reality she was just a professional thought. She was proud of being black or Indian, she couldn't be sure, but she was absolutely certain we should all vote for her. She chose a white lawyer to become her mate, to complete her image as a national candidate. She had all the support of the California political machine and cultivated an image of being so squeaky clean, but that was only because the white media wouldn't ask any serious questions about Kamala's filthy past. So in 2017, the black media would go and tell you what the white media didn't want you to know. Professor Black Truth made it a point to be the first out the gate, and his very first joint was a video that exposed her as wicked and careless, the deadly deception of Kamala Harris. That video began the steady drumbeat while the white media, as usual, were dragging their feet. She thought she was on her way to the presidency. Meanwhile, we laid out her record for all to see. Arresting homeless mothers for truancy, refusing to prosecute cops, forcing prisoners to do slave labor, the list never stopped. And as Attorney General, white-collar crooks got a pass. After all, she knew her job was to protect the donor class. Back in the day, her sugar daddy, low-down Willie Brown, never missed a chance to show her off around town. He gave her a BMW and patronage jobs, money for nothing, and in return, she gave him, well, I'm sure it was something. Being on his arm provided her with legitimacy. Politics makes for strange bedfellows, in their case, literally. But how could a young woman sleep with a man so decrepit? Because she wanted a shortcut to the top, and this was how she would get it. So she climbed the political ladder by climbing into his bed, with visions of higher office dancing in her empty head. Her rise came quickly, and faster than you could spin it, she went from DA to AG and then the U.S. Senate. But of course, this only worked so long as the offices she sought were in California, where her boyfriend was calling the shots. Because when she tried to run for office outside of the state, she got the wake-up call from hell, and yes, it was great. Every politician thinks no one outside their state cares what kind of dirt they've done, so they can go anywhere. When Kamala announced her first presidential bid, she was sure no one outside California knew what she did. But Kamala didn't realize it was a brand new day. Her reputation preceded her, and there would be no escape. The black media had sounded the alarm on this creep, and most importantly, we kept up a steady drumbeat, reminding black people nationwide what she'd done, how she ignored the murder of Matrice Richardson, fought against police body cameras, protecting scum, and cackling like a witch because she thought it was fun. When she went to Detroit, she just knew she'd get a warm reception, but the locals had already heard about her deadly deception. Trash like Tulsi Gabbard got applause from the black crowd for reading Kamala in public on camera out loud because the audience agreed she had no right to be proud. All Kamala could do was hold her head down now. That should have been her first clue she had no black support. The ski-wees wouldn't save her. She was coming up short. Her campaign was a joke, but the real death blow came when she told foundational black Americans no. When she launched her campaign, she was so confident there was no way she wouldn't become the president, but she crashed back to earth with a pitiful shout, becoming the first Democrat contender to have to drop out. Then Biden threw her a lifeline, making her his VP, but she still didn't have a clue what it took to lead. So when Biden's mental decline forced him out of the race, Kamala was the one they put in his place, but she then went on to fall flat on her face, losing the popular vote and every battleground state. She tried pathetic maneuvers like pandering to black men, but still refused to offer what we demanded, reparation. And black women weren't fooled either by her sister girl routine. They recognized she was a product of a political machine, one that ignored all black people regardless of gender. So we stamped her invitation return to sender. She just refused to accept it. The base had had it. But she still hoped the white media could conjure some magic, only they couldn't. The white media had run out of tricks. No big scandals, no economic crash, and no pandemics. Black voters didn't care what she was talking about. She offered nothing, so we chose to vote for the couch. She did black people no good. Her departure, no loss. Just another politician obsessed with being the boss. She was too dense to realize the black people who made demands were in fact her real boss, the black woman and man. And while the bootlicks on TV said we were wrong, it wasn't too long before those clowns were gone. One by one, the few remaining shills got their pink slips. White power didn't need them and told them to get. Well, it's been a year now, and we hadn't heard much from the two-time loser with the reverse Midas touch. But with the orange man's favorability ratings sinking, apparently that's got the former vice president thinking that maybe she can make another run in 28, assuming she can beat the current governor of her state. And that's also assuming Wes Moore, the tether king, doesn't also decide to throw his crown in the ring. Kamala's putting the idea out there of running again. Will the third time be the charm? It was for Biden, but he had a pandemic and economic crash help him win. And without those factors, well, we saw what happened to him. Desperation is the vibe that Kamala is giving. Clearly, she's not ready to work for a living, and she's too old to go back to taking dictation from the likes of Willie Brown or others of his station. So she's got no choice but to at least try one more time. But black voters have a choice. Leave Kamala behind. No more tethers or shills, no more political traps, such as saying so-and-so is the first this or that, or letting the white media tell us who's black. It's about the lineage and ideology, and that's a fact. The Obama playbook has finally run its course. Tethers get called out, they don't get support. So let Kamala spend this Christmas hoping Santa sends her away to finally become president. Well, I recommend she pray to Vishnu, Krishna, or whomever she believes in, because the black vote's one gift she won't be receiving. It's about time these tethers were put on the run. Black folks are on code, and we're beating the drum for the things that we're owed, and we've only begun. So black empowerment to all, and to all, a B1. Yeah, it's cold outside, but apparently not as cold as the electorate was toward...
It's actually not cold here, Professor Black Truth. We had a really warm Christmas, but before we let Professor Black Truth spill some more tea, I would like to read Rakai's donation. He says, Kamala running again should tell you how desperate the left is and how dry their candidate pool is. However, the donors will gain a tax write-off if she loses and a financial windfall if she wins. Thank you for that perspective, Rakai, because for the life of me, I can't understand, or I was thinking, why would you want to waste that money? That's good money, but I guess if it's going to be a tax write-off, it's not a loss. And if she wins, it's a gamble, right? It could be either a tax write-off, like you said, or a windfall if she wins. So thank you for giving us that kind of point of view, because I was confused about that. Because like, why would you want to waste your money? But they're not wasting their money. They're finding out another way to, like, that loophole that we were talking about earlier. Very cool. Thank you, Rakai. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Okay, let's get back into this.
Kamala Harris. Last election, Santa brought her a piece of coal for her stocking, and here she is trying to see if she can turn that coal to diamond. Ain't gonna work.
No.
But there are those in the white media who live in the land of permanent delusion, and they're sitting here trying to say stupid stuff like she's got strong support among black voters still.
No.
Now, where have we heard that before? Kamala Harris has got strong support among black voters. It just goes to show the white media never updates their script. They just say the same stuff, only more of it. See, this is what happens when a washed-up magician still thinks they can conjure magic. They're just reaching into that hat of theirs, can't pull nothing out because there's nothing there. But hey, the audience has always fallen for that misdirection thousands of times, so surely they'll fall for it one more, right? What's going on here is the white media is doing their usual routine, trying to gin up the hype machine and trying to see if people, particularly black people, can be made excited about nothing. What are we being offered? What are any of the slate of Democrat or Republican candidates saying that they're going to be doing for black people? The same things they offered us during the BLM protest all the way through the 2020 uprisings. Nothing. The narrative is, well, Donald Trump's out of control. Look what he's doing. He renamed the Kennedy Center. You have to give him a black eye in 2028. You can't just ignore all of this stuff that he's been doing. Well, we haven't been ignoring him, though the white media ignored all of his racism for at least the last 35 years up until 2015. And what they also ignore is that the entire reason Trump's back in the White House to begin with is because in 2024, Democrats were determined to offer black voters nothing. They haven't changed their stance on that. So as the white powers that be see it, since last year was a repeat of 2016, they figure if they just push the panic button hard enough, then 2028 will be a repeat of 2020. One of the main things that the white media specializes in is creating an air of inevitability. That you might as well go along with such and such. You might as well go ahead and drop your resistance because it's going to happen.
No, Lions. 2028 Lion says 2028 is too far away, guys. I'm sorry. It actually isn't. When you break it down in quarters, it's not that far away. And time is moving quickly. Like, that's the thing, guys. Like, we have to stop thinking that we have time for sorting these kinds of thoughts out. Like, we have to constantly be reminded that these people don't stop at the fraud, and they're constantly like strategic planning. Like, I usually have my book up here because everything involves a strategic plan, but in development and real estate development, people are looking at your neighborhood 10, 20 years out. They're not looking at your neighborhood thinking about the money they could make right now. They're thinking about the money they could make in the time we will be in 10 years from now. So we have to stop thinking that we have all this freaking time to sort out who we are going to nominate to take these positions to get us what we need. The presidential nominations are starting up next month. That's why I'm doing this, because I don't want us to be talking about this in 2027. By 2027, we need to already know who those players are going to be and how we're going to move with the players we've got. So it's not so far away from here, Lions, okay? Come on now. Like, we got to start our strategic plan. And that's why I'm doing this on Saturdays before the cart before the horse at 8:30. Okay, it's because we need to get on the good foot, and we need to know how we're voting by 2027 and who that vote could potentially go for. We don't need to just be getting to know whoever the nominee is just because they put them there. We need to be influencing who that is now. And we do that by talking about this now. Right, Pooh Man? You got to play chess, not checkers. And if we wait until 2027, we'll be playing checkers. Not cool. We don't want to do that no more. Thank you so much for your donation tonight, Square Biz. He says, message. Yeah, well, he probably didn't say it like me, but message. Exactly. I hope I did a good job with my manly voice, Square Biz. Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you to everyone that has contributed today. And if you haven't sent a Cash App or a super chat or a super sticker, that's cool. You can help me out by just tapping the like button or subscribing to the channel. That helps out so much. Okay, it goes a long way. All right, here we go.
Happen anyway. Why? Just look at it. We're laying out the facts for you. You can't argue with the math, except every time black people have, the math has been wrong. And you look at the slate of so-called candidates the Democrats are putting out there, it looks like 50 miles of bad road. Yeah. AOC is not the warrior of youth. She's an inside the beltway operative. Attorney General, white collar crooks got a pass after that if you're showing up in the
Let's look at these candidates. These are the people that they're saying they want you to vote for as a president. We got Kamala. We got AOC. No. Like, does he look like he's going to be good for much? No. Gavin Newsom? Hell no. Like, can you even get the fires in California together and the water and all of that? And you want to run a whole country? No. Who is this guy? The guy that we saw in the Righteous Perspective video that was calling out Ilhan Omar? He looks like a character from Inglourious Bastards, doesn't he? No, and this guy, no, I mean, maybe him. Is this Buttigieg? No, no, none of these people. Throw them all out and get us some more candidates here.
There's nothing on the table, then what are you doing? The Democrats deliberately allowed the Republicans to put a bunch of Federalist Society operatives on the bench because they wanted a way to stop policies specifically for us, but without having their own fingerprints on it. Okay. Just look at what Democrats have done in states like California and Maryland, where the Democrats control the legislatures and the governorships. Now, in those cases, they actually have the threat of actually facing political repercussions for it. But on the other hand, if they allow these Federalist Society flunkies to do their dirty work for them, they can just say, well, there's nothing we can do. And that's why you need to vote Democrat. Never mind the fact that the Democrats made backroom deals to allow the Republicans to do this in the first place. They are as opposed to policies for us as the Republicans are. And yet you'll have the mushy-headed morons who will say, but Professor Truth, we got to vote for somebody's. Yes, we've got to vote for whomever shows us that they're going to push policies for our lineage. Black people are the only ones who we see the politicians and the judges claiming that nothing can be done specifically for us. They don't ever do that with any other group because everyone is aligned with white supremacy except for us. White supremacy isn't based on Asian hate or anti-Latino sentiment or anti-Semitism or anti-anything else. White supremacy is based on one thing and one thing only: anti-black racism. Full stop. And who the hell is running for president who's fighting against that? Not even one of them. Those of you who have been thinking of running for office, it's probably time to stop thinking about it and start doing it. And that doesn't mean running for mayor or governor necessarily. Politics is a food chain. And starting with the school board is a pretty good way to get on the bottom rung of that ladder and start working your way up. But the point is to actually demonstrate that people who got their heads on straight and who are actually going to be fighting for policies that benefit us are able to actually seize office. That's the point. Perform your due diligence. Look for those political offices that may not be the sexiest in the world, but are ones that you can actually get. Research how many votes were actually cast in the last election in that district, and then find out how many eligible voters there are. That's the main lesson that ought to be taken away from the black political victory in New Bern, Alabama. Those white supremacists had that town for the longest time, and as it turned out, the major reason that happened was nobody ran for office against them, not a substantive effort anyway. All it took was one black man who actually decided, you know what, I am going to run against these bastards. And he won easily. And that made all the difference in the world. We have the exact same circumstance for black people all over this country. And guess what? What happened in New Bern, that's the solution. The number one reason why so many people don't vote is mainly because they were not asked. The number two reason, the person who was asking them wasn't actually offering them anything. Black empowerment's political posture has never been about doing absolutely nothing whatsoever. What it's been about is not doing anything that's against our interests. We know there's nobody on the ballot who's actually B1, and that being the case, it should be our prerogative to change that. As I've always told you, power is simply too important to be left up to chance. It's important to make sure that whoever it is that you're standing in front of, whether it's a member of the school board, the city council, county commission, mayor's office, your local county clerk, whomever, it's somebody who's on your side, and that's the side of justice. People want for black folks to get excited about voting. Try putting someone on the ballot who's actually on our side, forwarding policies that are meant to empower us. Or at the very least, they better be pushing policies specifically crafted and meant to undermine the people who have been undermining us. Democrats have sat on their hands and allowed racists from all over to push laws and policies specifically meant to target black people. And then these same do-nothing Democrats have the nerve to tell us we have to vote for them because they're the only ones who are sticking up for us. Oh, they're not going to do what the Republicans have done. Yeah, they're going to do absolutely nothing about it, though. That's the problem. And you don't see even one Democrat running on a platform of we're going to reverse and repeal all of this crap the Republicans have been pushing, all of this message legislation, all of this performative extremism written into law. We're going to go ahead and push back on all of it. More importantly, we're going to be punishing the individuals who did it. Now, that would be something worth voting for, but the Democrats aren't putting that on the ballot.
No.
And whenever black people bring it up, they want to change the subject. So that's the reason why black folks are not getting caught up in the hype. We recognize the difference between reality and mere rhetoric. And that's the reason why it is that we're not speaking up for any of these other groups either. It's time that everybody realize that the voice of morality and reason also requires a reason to speak. We've learned the lesson that sometimes silence makes the loudest statement of all. Good day and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors.
Okay. So that's it from Professor Black Truth. Like I said, I will make sure to pin all of these content creators in the description of my video tonight. I really love all of these like fun facts that I'm learning because I remember Bob Dole. Of course, Bill Clinton looks better than Bob Dole. Oh my God. And if we're going to go off of looks, then Gavin Newsom, I guess, was the better looking one out of the two. And I guess him and JD Vance would be an attractive competition. I don't know. I hear bad things about Gavin Newsom. So I don't know, guys. This is going to be a toss up, but we're going to be here talking about it on Saturdays. And like I said, next week when we do this show, I'm going to build in time so that we can have like a 5-minute caller after each topic. So that, it's not just me up here talking and it's not just like a biased conversation. I would like for Republicans to call in, Democrats to call in, people in the middle to call in and give me your perspective so that we are considering everybody's point of view, as we mull over what our own point of view is and think about the ways that these candidates can enrich our lives, right? Because the government is for the people. It's not for them to just line their pockets with our tax dollars, okay? It's time for us to get something back for the money that we kick out into the system. We all have to pay taxes. We want to know where our money is going, who is spending it and how, okay? Shout out to Project Leroy. He has contributed today. Thank you so much. Brandon Nesbitt, what made Bob Dole lose was when he fell from the podium with his bad arm. That sealed his fate. Oh my God. So now I have to, now, okay, because now we're going to talk about this next week, but I need to, before I go, I need to make a note because I'll forget. Okay, so Bob Dole fell off the podium. Bob Dole podium fall. And then Pooh Man sent me videos for next week. Okay, so this is next week. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, so next week we're going to be looking at Bob Dole falling from the podium. Stick a pin in this super chat from Project Leroy. Thank you so much. And then we're going to be reviewing some videos that Pooh Man has left me that is on the topic of the fraud in Minnesota. Okay, so I really appreciate all of you all hanging out with me. Ross Perot, I remember him, y'all. I remember Ross Perot. He was the older guy with like the bigger ears. Yeah, I remember him. You guys are making me think of like back in the day when we used to watch what was that, 48 minutes or 28 minutes or something. What was that show that we used to watch with our parents in 28 minutes or something like that? But yeah, I remember they used to come on and like they would talk about the different candidates, and sometimes they would talk about like Bill Clinton controversies and stuff like that. But yeah, shout out to y'all for being here with me today and making this test show run so successful. I didn't think that I would garner a crowd today, but I really appreciate all of you all being here. Before I shut down the stream, I just would like to give a shout out to everybody that supported me today. Project Leroy, Square Biz, Rick High was balling out on me today. Thank you so much. You taught me so much. We're going to talk about churches too. So I'm going to make a note to talk about, like churches and how we can like hold them accountable in our community, right? Because we shouldn't have to be bombarded with all of their crap all around our town and then they're not doing anything, from billboards to, whatever they got going on. They always want our money, but like, what are you doing? Churches should be looked at somewhat like governments, because that's how much influence they have. So thank you for pointing a lot of that stuff out. Divine Photos, thank you so much. Rakai again. Pink, Brandon Nesbitt, thank you so much for contributing and helping us out. The family seems to love you, and it's important that everybody in the Rose Garden gets along. So I love that. Thank you for being here with us. And Frederick Howard, thank you for gifting a Smell the Roses membership. If you got a membership from Frederick, please say thank you. Okay, so this little stack of paper here. It's a lot here. Okay. It's the state governors. This piece of paper here is U.S. senators by state. Okay. And then this list right here is the official list of the members of the House of Representatives. Okay. If you want cool points with me next week, you should know who the people are in your state that represent you, okay? Because I will be calling y'all out if no one comes up to join me. I will be calling you guys out in the chat to tell me who is your state, who is your senator, who is your governor, who represents you in the House of Representatives in your state. I want to know that from y'all. I want to make these discussions interactive, whether y'all bring y'all butts up here on the panel with me or not, because that is how we learn. Okay, we learn by stretching each other's minds and talking to each other, engaging. Okay, so I love you all so much. I will be seeing you all in about what? It's almost 6. So I will see y'all in 2 hours and 30 minutes over on the Cart Before the Horse. I'll be sure to drop the link to that live stream in my community chat. If you guys don't know how to get there, you all can watch me there and support me there. I would greatly appreciate it. Again, Thank you all so much for being here with me on Saturday. I will be back live on Monday at 9. And then Wednesday, we'll do a New Year's Eve show. And I'm going to be doing that one early at 3 o'clock so that y'all can go out and have your fun. But be thoroughly entertained, maybe while you pick out your fresh, clean underwear and socks, and while you're laying out your hot girl New Year's Eve dress that you'll be wearing on some patio late at night, freezing your ass off. Maybe while you're getting ready, you can listen in on me then. Okay. So I will see you all later on tonight or Monday night at 9 p.m. Okay. I love you all. Until next time, be sweet to each other and don't forget to stop and smell the roses.